Hey everybody, I am sitting here with Michael Showalter. I just got to see his new film, Hello, My Name is Doris, last night, and Michael, it was really incredible. It was one of the more delightful things that I've gotten to sit in front of.
Thank you
in
very
a long
much.
time.
Thank you,
It's great.
sir.
Doris is such a unique character, and she's really fun and charming and awkward and vulnerable and all these great things. What was it initially that drew you to tell her story?
I could identify with her. I mean, my co-writer Laura Taruso made a short film in 2011 called Doris and the Intern, which tells the story of an older woman working in an office who sort of has an irrational crush on a teenage intern. And she's, this character that I saw in the short was, very different than anything I'd seen before, and yet I felt like I knew this person and was someone I could really was really fascinated by, but also was sort of foreign to me, and at the same time seemed very familiar. If those two things can live in the same world, so I don't know. As we started to create the character, I just felt like she was a comic protagonist that I had not seen before. She has strong desires for things, and yet has a very different way of going about getting them, which is a really good, premise for comedy.
Exactly. So how many of the things that you liked about the character initially lined up with what Sally Field liked about it?
Sally definitely brought all sorts of things to the character, but I mean, she knew who Doris was, and so we kind of agreed on the character. I think we both felt like she felt like there were parts of her in Doris, there's parts of me in Doris, and what I really hope is that, as crazy as this sounds, is that everybody will feel like there's a part of them that is in Doris, and that we can all relate to what she is dealing with, which is family issues, and she's dealing with falling in love and having her heart broken and trying to find herself, and that those are universal goals that we all have.
I would agree with that.
Yeah,
I've got a little Doris in me,
old,
I think.
Young, yeah.
Yeah. So one of the great things about the movie is it strikes this really great balance between comedy and drama. Like there were moments that had people rolling and laughter, and then there were moments that just the air went out of the room, which is really great. And even shifting back and forth within the same scene. Can you talk about like how difficult it is to get that sort of shift in tone to play well on screen?
Yeah, it's certainly nothing that I think it has a lot to do with the performance. It has a lot to do with Sally Field being able to navigate between those two tones herself gracefully as she does. And then for me, I think I just see comedy and drama as being on the same scale. They're both there. It's just a matter of degrees. It isn't like one's over here and one's over there. They live together. I've always felt that humor comes from a sad place, and that humor, you got to laugh at things because life is difficult. Life can be painful, and all these different things. And that I find the kind of comedians that I really appeal to me is that's just how they look at things. It's not to say that they're happy all the time. It's just how I look at the world. I try to look at the world through a comedic lens, but that doesn't mean that I'm happy all the time.
Right.
And so Doris in this movie is a funny movie about a very unfunny subject.
One of the things I want to ask you about is coming up in sketch comedy the way that you did, and where you have such a limited amount of time to get across character and intention and all that stuff. How much of that do you carry with you in working in like longer form stuff like this?
Sketch, I find, is really much more about the joke. And so, when we were doing The State, and start with the premise, you establish it as quickly as you can, do as many jokes about it as you can, until they aren't funny anymore, and then you end it.
And then get out.
And just get out of there as fast as possible. With a feature, it's a much longer period of time that you're trying to hold the audience's attention. So, I mean, a typical sketch is 2 minutes long. A feature is 90 minutes or more. So you need to structure it very differently to keep the audience's attention. I feel like I've had to learn a whole new way of writing where the feature writing comes in.
And one last question, and I am a big fan of The State from way back, so the most serious question I could possibly ask you is, how would you stack up this movie against Porcupine Racetrack?
Wow. In terms of what?
Whatever terms you like.
Awesomeness? Yeah, I mean, how can you can't really compare them. It's apples and oranges. Right. That is definitely one of my favorite State sketches that we ever did. Agreed. And I love musical theater. Doris loves musical theater.
Yeah.
So maybe there's the connection.
Maybe there's something there.
Maybe there's the connection. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time, man.
Thank you very much.
Guys, keep it right here for more South by Southwest coverage on CineFix.